Yes. Hello, Prem.
Hello, Michael.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for like having this conversation.
Sure.
And we were agreeing about. So I'm a student here for the third time now within the last like 2 years, and I've been always very interested and fascinated about like how was it back in the old days in Mysore and like in Hawaii and in Encinitas, how did it all started? And you were just one of the very first practitioners. You went to India in 1978, and yeah, we were just thinking about sharing something or asking me asking you some details about those earlier days.
Okay.
And I read your book too.
Uh-huh.
Like it's quite a bit ago, so I don't remember everything. But you were also talking in the book about how everything started. So, but yeah, let's start with like how did you get into yoga and why, and then how did you end up in India and how did this all happen? How did you meet Guruji? How did I mean there was back in the days there was no like Lonely Planet, there was no Google, no nothing. Like how did you find and how did this all like fall into place?
All right. Um, the my journey began in '78, and I was in Encinitas, California. And at that particular time, I just graduated from university in California in San Diego, and I was in this kind of limbo state of what am I going to do with my life? And these two friends of mine,
How old were you?
I was 78, so it was 22, 23,
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it took a long time to go through university, on the 5-year plan, 6-year plan. Too much partying.
Yes.
So I was unfamiliar with what yoga was really all about, although I had kind of dabbled with meditation and things like that beforehand. And when I was when I had just graduated from high school, I learned transcendental meditation, TM,
Okay. Yeah.
from Maharishi, and I thought that was good. It helped my concentration, but I was still drinking and partying and doing all that. And so I had just graduated from the university in California, and I didn't really know where I was going to go. I was kind of like not that happy with my life, and just wondering, what am I going to do? And these two friends of mine said, "Oh, you should come to this yoga class." And I was like, "Yoga? That's for like old women or something."
People
You
still
know.
think it very often. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But
at
back
that
then it must
particular
have been,
time,
yeah,
you,
even
you
more.
said
I
before
mean.
Lonely Planet and the internet and all that, we had 3 channels on TV.
Okay. Good.
3 channels, 3, and one of them was like a public channel, and it had educational stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 were for me. When I was a child, it was like cartoons. So I remember going through the channels and popping the public channel on like quickly and going, what is that? And there was this older woman in like leotards and this kind of whiny music in the background, and she was doing it was like the calm voice, and now we're gonna do, and I was like, I clicked it off like right away. So that was my first image
Yeah.
of yoga. So when they said, "Oh, you want to go to a yoga class?" I was like, "No, I don't think so," because I was very athletic at that time too. I was
Okay.
playing basketball, surfing,
Oh yeah.
and very fit and just very active. So they said, "No, you're gonna love it. It's Ashtanga Yoga," and I was like, "Ashtanga Yoga? What's that?" So I trusted them, and they said, "Come to where we practice, and the first class you have to watch. You can't, it's just come and watch
Mm-hmm.
and see if it's interesting for you."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, all right, why not? I'll come and watch. Sounds interesting. So I went to the location, and the location was an old church.
Yeah, I
Not
heard
too
about the
not
church.
too big. Yeah, it was really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like a small church that would maybe fit maybe 40 practitioners or something like that. And it had like the double doors to like the church. You open it up, and there's nothing inside. It's
Mm-hmm.
just carpeted. It had the stained glass windows, high ceiling, and so I opened it up, and everyone was practicing. I was like, whoa.
How many people were in there? Like,
Oh, there was maybe 20, 25
oh,
at the
so
time.
many already. Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
pretty
okay.
good group,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the first practitioners of Ashtanga.
Yeah, and for how long was it going on there already? Like the church thing?
maybe 3 years, 4 years,
Oh, okay.
something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Manju was around. So that was, Manju came with Patabi in 75. So that was in 78. So maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Manju wasn't part of that particular center. He had another place.
Mm-hmm.
But the two guys that were the main teachers had practiced under David and Nancy.
Yeah.
And they were holding down this church space. So I sat off to the side. I watched everyone practice, and everyone was doing, primary, intermediate, advanced stuff. And I was amazed. I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it was just quiet and breathing and sweating, and the room was hot and sweaty. And everyone was practicing in their underwear, like you. We didn't have like yoga gear.
Yeah.
There was no sticky mats. We just had like at that particular time we had like a Mysore rug. It was just a cotton rug. There was no there was no sticky mats, So we just had that down, and then it was a carpeted room in the church. So again, I'm watching these people practice, men and women practicing in their underwear basically. And I was like, wow. And they were all like full on athletes, like they were all really good. No one was like, having a hard time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, this is cool. I like this. And so after the class, one of the teachers came up to me and said, so would you like to begin? And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, okay, you come tomorrow at this particular time, and you have to commit for 3 months. And I was like, 3 months? I can't just like take a couple classes and see how it goes. And he said, no, the commitment is 3 months, and it costs blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that much. It was minimal. So I said, all right. So I jumped in, and the next day I started, and they got me practicing Surya Namaskar at A. So I got maybe A and B that first day, and then that was it.
Okay.
And I was like, more, I want more.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Everyone knows that feeling, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, I want more. No, you just and then I would.
Even then, you had like no idea what this practice was about, right? It was
Zero,
right?
Zero. I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No clue. So slowly, they built the practice for me one by one, adding standing poses. I was getting so sore the first week. I was so sore. I was like, oh my God, but I felt really good. And 3 months of this. And then there was a buzz in the room around, maybe after a month and a half, there was people talking about like, Guruji's gonna come. Guruji's coming, from India, the guy who started this. And I was like, Guruji, what's a Guruji? And so I was kind of excited because it was supposed to be this older guy who had started this system, and he was coming from India, and so I was like, cool. And so I signed up for that, and he was going to be around for like 6 months. So he came, and then a bunch of people from Hawaii came, and the room swelled from like 20, 25 people to maximum like 35, 40 people.
Okay.
So it was packed.
Okay, yeah.
And he was there, and it was
But did you have like different shifts, or was it all?
No, everybody was there.
Everybody was
all
there.
one
Okay.
shift, all
Okay.
one pack.
And what time
room.
did you start in the morning? Was it
Oh
same?
God, Michael!
You have no idea about
I don't remember the timing.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it was 6:30
Yeah,
or something like
something like
that.
this, yeah.
Something early. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you still do your other like basketball and surfing kind of stuff?
Oh
or
yeah.
That was
Sure,
still working
sure.
for you, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
feel like because I see a lot of like parallels to me. I'm like I've always been very like athletic, doing lots of like sport stuff. Like
Sure.
for me, it was like
It helped everything that I did.
Okay, yeah.
I felt like I was more, laser-like with my shooting.
Okay.
My fitness level. I didn't really have to play basketball every day to keep like the level of
Yeah,
fitness
okay.
because I was doing all the vinyasa and breathing strong.
Cool.
My surfing got better. It enhanced everything.
Nice.
So I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then I started changing my diet,
Okay.
because I was eating meat at the time, and I was smoking a lot of weed, a lot of
I know that
ganja.
too.
Everybody was smoking weed.
Yeah, yeah.
At that particular time, everybody was smoking weed.
Bunch of hippies, right?
Pardon me?
Bunch of hippies, kind of.
Bunch of hippies. Everybody
yeah.
was hippies.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I wasn't necessarily a hippie at that time, but I
Yeah.
turned into one. The yoga turned me into a hippie.
Cool.
That's when the beard started growing and the hair started growing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how it all kind of began
Okay,
for me,
cool.
and I was hooked. After that 6-month time that he was there,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of that, we would meet with him every day, and we would do. He would do conferences, not every day, but we would meet over at Manju's house, and he would hold a conference, and he would go over some Sanskrit shloka, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, whatever it was, and we would just sit there and listen, and it was really hard to understand him because he didn't speak English very well.
Mhm.
Manju would try to kind of fill in the gap, and it was really exciting. And then maybe every weekend or every other weekend, we'd have like a potluck where people would bring food, and we would go on the beach and just do, chanting, kirtan stuff,
Oh,
and
nice,
just
nice.
it was a cool family. Like it was
Yeah.
a family, and there was kids around, and we were just like a tight family practicing,
Amazing.
and just
yeah.
going through this journey together and talking and going, wow, this is amazing. Are you feeling this? And
Yeah,
I don't know. There was no resource to no book.
There was no Facebook group where you could like.
No,
I
it was
don't
just
know,
us,
anything.
just
Yes.
trusting this man and
Wow.
doing what he said and just
Mhm.
following the sequence. And then,
Mhm.
so at the end of his 6 months, he said, "You come to Mysore." And so, everyone kind of took it in, but there was only like 6 of us that actually did it, and I was one of them. I was like the first group of people that showed up at his doorstep.
Mhm.
There was 1 or 2 people here and there going, but we were like the first official group to sign up
Yeah.
and show up in India.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting,
Yeah.
and he was very excited too.
Yeah. Let's do this in the next video, like
Okay.
the trip, like to India or like the first India experience.
Sure.
And
All right. All
yeah.
right, cool.
So we can keep it. Yeah. Exactly.